Philadelphia is probably one of the best cities to live in the United States of America. And when when you're born and raised in South Philadelphia, you better say that or else you get beat up a lot. Only kidding. Philadelphia has we got great historical value. We've got tremendous food. The people here in Philadelphia are great people. It's a town that takes, nothing for granted. It's a pretty smart town. You better know what the hell you're talking about in Philadelphia, or they'll put you right into the ground. South Philadelphian is particularly, I'm a big sports fan, a big Philadelphia sports fan. All four major sports here in Philadelphia, but I'm #1 a Philadelphia Eagles guy. I live and die with the Philadelphia Eagles. So Frankie Avalon, who's a very dear friend, he would say to me, "Bobby, what are you doing back home? Why don't you move out to California? We could play golf every day." And I would say, "Frank, by the time I move out to California, Montana is going to be oceanfront property." He said, "You people are nuts out there. You got mudslides, earthquakes, fires." And he looks at me and he says, "Yeah, Bob, what about back home when it gets cold and you're freezing?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Frank, I can always turn up the thermostat." So it's really not all that bad. I love Philadelphia. Fabian and I grew up a half a block away from one another. I was 2400 South 11th Street, and Fabian was 2500 South 11th Street, a half a block away. And Frankie Avalon lived on 9th Street, 2 blocks away from Frankie and me. And when we do our show called The Golden Boys, we all open together, the three of us. I'm the first one on, and then I have to introduce Fabe. And I say Fabe and I were born and raised a half a block away from another. And Frankie was, born and raised 2 blocks away from us on 9th Street. And when when we were kids, Fabian and I, we used to throw things at Frankie Avalon. We used to throw the kids from 10th Street because we didn't like those kids. If I didn't get the transplant, that was July 9th of 2012. The doctor who operated on me, a wonderful doctor at Jefferson Hospital here in Philadelphia, Dr. Cataldo Doria, he told my wife if Bob didn't get the new liver, I probably would have been dead within a couple of weeks. And my donor was a young lady by the name of Julia. She was only 21 years old, from Reading, Pennsylvania, 50 miles from Philadelphia. And I can remember laying in bed with my wife, July the 8th, saying, "You better get all the papers ready because I'm going to die. I ain't going to make it." And she said, "Oh, no, Bobby, don't worry, things will be yada yada." But she knew I was, if I didn't get the liver, I was going to die. July the 9th, we get a phone call from Jefferson, "Get over here," boom, boom, we got a liver. And that was all because of this young lady, Julia, who was unfortunately hit by a car, and she was pronounced brain dead, which, by the way, is the only way that you can get organs, your liver, your kidney, your lungs, yada, yada, so forth. You have to be brain dead, pronounced brain dead. A lot of people think, if you're in an accident and they rush you to an ER, the doctors aren't going to save your life because they want the organs. Well, that's ridiculous and foolish, because the doctor's life profession is to save people. The only way you can get organs is if you're brain dead, and that's it, period. So, Dr. Doria, my donor, Julia, only 21 years old, beautiful girl. She was hit by a car, pronounced brain dead. And not only did she save my life, but she saved 7 other people as well. Who got her other kidney, who got her lungs, who got her heart, who got her eyes, tissues, I thought that I was the primary recipient, but I wasn't. There was a little 4-year-old girl here in Philadelphia that we split a liver. I got 75% of Julia's liver, and this little girl got 25%. And the great thing about the liver is that it's the only organ in the body that regenerates. So now my liver is full, and so is a little 4-year-old girl. Isaiah is her name. So I've been very, very blessed in my life, and right now when I do my concerts, whether it be with Frankie and Fabian or by myself, you know, I try to promote organ donorship as much as possible, because there's an organization called the Gift of Life, and when you do become an organ donor and something like that happens to whoever, an individual, it truly is the gift of life. And I try to promote and make people aware of how important it is to become an organ donor, to the point where I say, if it's not on your driver's license now, the next time you renew your license, as a favor to me, please become an organ donor. Of course, it saved my life, and maybe one day it'll save yours. The 22nd tour in Australia, and that's a country that I absolutely love. And it was my 22nd visit. First time was 1960. And my very first visit there in Australia was with the Everly brothers, Don and Phil Everly, and myself, and then continued to go back every couple of years, you know, up until, you know, now 2014. And I love Australia, yeah.
And the people love you too.
The people in Australia are, I mean, I have a big a fan club following here in the United States. Australia is, it's mind-boggling. I mean, they're there with signs. I mean, it's like going back to like the late 50s and the early 60s. Bobby, you came back like a boomerang, you know, we love you, mate, you know, and they're always there. There are 3 girls. They're originally from Melbourne, who have been fans since 1960. Now they're from Melbourne. Now I've worked Sydney, I go up to the Gold Coast, they're there. They travel all over. They see the show, I don't know how many times. They're nuts. They're crazy. And they sit in the audience and they sing my backgrounds. Like if I'm doing, like say Wild One, and I sing, Wild One, I'm gonna tame you down. They go, tame you down. They're like the girls who were on the records. If I do swing in school, if I do Volati, they do all of my background music. And I believe it's probably one of the only countries left in the world that truly loves us Americans. They're wonderful people. Their food is fantastic. Their climate is great. So what's not to like? You know? What's next? Possibly other than working, to continue to work, is a lot of people have been asking me to write a book about my life. And there's one particular gentleman who is a musician. His name is Alan Slutsky. And we may get together and start putting things, you know, down. And I've been asked by so many people, I mean, a lot of fans that say, you have so much to tell, Bobby, why don't you write a book? And I think that's next. I think that's, you know, premier on my list right now, to write a book. Volare, oh, cantare, oh, let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowds. We could sing in the glow of a star that I know of, while lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave the confusion and all disillusion behind. Just like birds of a feather, rainbow together we'll find. Volare, oh, and that's the song.
And thank you, Mr. Bobby Rydell.
And I thank you ever so much, Jean.